guys, welcome to another episode of Unpacking Love. I'm so excited to have a special guest in the house. We got Tafadzwa in the house. Tafadzwa, what's going on?
What's up? What's good? It's been a minute. You all
It's
right?
been a minute. I'm good. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I'm so excited about the topic today.
Yeah, nah, me too. And thanks for inviting me. Never did a podcast before, so it'll be quite interesting.
I'm excited. I'm excited. And today we're going to be talking about dating older women. So, for people who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you would know that last year we had an episode about dating younger men, and that had Chiechie and Hilda. So, shout out to those two. And we were talking about our thoughts around dating younger men. So, now we're talking about the flip side of the coin and hearing from a younger man who's dated older women to hear what his experience was like. So, I'm pretty pumped, to just have this conversation and see things from the other side. So, Taf, first question is, have you dated an older woman or have you dated older women? And then what was your age gap with these women?
Yeah, so that was when I'm on my 20s. I mean, now I'm 30. So I think I was sitting around 24, 25. And then, the lady that I was involved with was 30 years old. So it's about 45 years age difference there.
Okay, sounds good. And there was one woman or were there a few?
Oh, it was about two. And one of them wasn't much of an age gap. It was probably 2 to 3 years, but they still older than me.
Okay, cool. So sounds good. So it sounds like there was one where it was maybe a 4 to 5 year age gap, and then the other one was 2 to 3 years age difference.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so how did you meet these women, and how did you guys kick off the relationships?
Funny thing is, one of them, the 45, that was just work stuff. And I've worked in a pretty big workplaces where there's about 40 to 50 people. Um, with work, you spend your time together, you get to know people, in a different way, and that's how it kickstarted. The one with just a smaller gap, it was just through friends. You hang out, you go for drinks and whatnot. You just get to know people that way.
That's pretty cool. I like that. And with these women, how long were you in a relationship with them?
I would say all of them is probably less than a year, if not just a year. It looks like I find it very hard to keep a relationship, it seems.
No, I wouldn't say that's the case. I wouldn't say that that's the case. I feel like it was just the case with these two women. So yeah, I mean, maybe we'll find out more about that. When you were dating, let's talk about the 4 to 5 year age gap one. When you were dating her, could you feel the age difference between the two of you? Or could she feel the age difference?
No, not really. So that's the interesting thing. I think it's because we work together. It was just some of when we have conversations, you mostly just talking about the same thing. You have the same interests, so it wasn't noticeable at all, which was a good thing.
Okay, sounds good. So maybe, I guess, would you say that she kind of met you at your age, which was like she felt more like a 25-year-old, or do you think that you kind of leveled up to a 30-year-old? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when we were talking about dating younger men, one of the things that we talked about was how sometimes in the occasions that we did date younger men, it was because we didn't feel like there was an age difference. So in other words, they felt like they were our age. So they were more mature than their current age. So I'm just curious about your experience there.
I would say it's a bit of a both. Like my whole life being in New Zealand, it's a smaller country, so you're bound to know a lot of people. Is I grew up around older people, so and I think maybe the way I carried myself and the way I talk and whatnot in my thinking aligned with her, and for the most part, she also had a younger frame, if I must say. So I could say, yeah, a bit of both. She probably felt like she was my age, but at the same time, I think it's we got along very well because I do hang around with a lot of older people when I was growing up, and to this day, I still do hang around with people in their 40s, 50s, and whatnot. So
Okay. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of maturity on your part then, which is pretty cool to hear. And now I'm curious, when you were dating this lady, did your family know about it, or did you just kind of keep it hush hush? And by family, I mean more like parent figure, right? Instead of say like sibling.
No, no, no. They definitely didn't know. Uh, you know, in an African household, you kind of have to keep that aside until you know it's very serious to introduce someone.
That's just how it is for us. Okay, cool. And then I guess the reasons why you guys ended up breaking it off with these two ladies, right? Did it have anything to do with age, or it was just other normal relationship reasons?
No, it wasn't with the age. I don't think it mattered to them. I'm not gonna lie if I say it didn't cross my mind because as a young man, you kind of think about when you're in your 50s and that means she's a lot older than you. So it comes into play, but it wasn't really like that. It was just at the end of the day, it's just the habits they have and some sort of interest that I wouldn't really accommodate in a relationship. So you started looking into those things. Our mindset at the end of the day, as far as ambitions and whatnot, they were quite, skewed in a different way. So I'll say it was just the normal relationship problems. It wasn't nothing to do with the age gap, as far as I could
Mm.
say.
Okay, interesting. And I think the most interesting one for me is the one where you said you were like maybe 25 and she was 30. So you guys had the 5 year age gap going, but also she was a woman who had hit her 30s. So did you feel like there was pressure from her to want to settle down or like to take the next step of the relationship?
Um, no, nothing like that was, pushed on me. Although, well, not direct anyway. It could have. There was a bit of indirect where there was, more of wanting to spend more time. And when I'm 25, I'm trying to be out with the boys and trying to do different things. I'm not trying to get locked down and whatnot. So
City,
there
can
was
I
a
just
little bit
say,
of
this sounds like a city boys thing, like city boys up. I'm not staying home. Anyway, continue. I cut you off.
no. So I don't think it was more of that. I think it was just my interest at that age, you start looking into those sort of things. Say, what do I want to do? Do I want to settle down now, or so? No, it wasn't really pushed on me, but there was just a little habits where if I want to leave, the house, and she's just gonna stay by herself. It was, a little bit of pushback, but not excessive.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, sounds good. I think that's fair. When you were telling your guy friends that you were dating this woman, did did you ever bring up like how she was older than you, or that didn't matter? Like, give me tea on how men talk about relationships.
Um, so it's actually a good thing for a guy to date an older woman because for the most part, women kind of look at a majority of the women they look at younger men, like they don't know what they're doing, they childish and whatnot. So if I'm to go and tell my friends, it's sort of so he's managed to be with an older woman. So it's more of a confidence boost, from the guy. So but it's not just me. Even my friends, they also involved with you know older women. So it wasn't like a outrageous reaction from them. It was just like, oh yeah, okay, all good, no problem.
Okay. Because yeah, I do wonder if someone was dating somebody who was older than them, if they would mention that like, oh, this woman is older, or if they would just keep it low key. But it sounds like it does show some sort of it reflects how confident someone is, or like, oh wow, you were able to get somebody who's like X years older than you, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
hundred
yeah.
percent. Yeah, because when you grow up, you just see a lot of girls, talking about we like older men. So all these girls when we were teenagers that we were interested in, they wanted no parts with us. They just wanted older men. So when you get to that age, we I guess we were treated the same, but the younger girls. But for us, we just wanting to go for the older women because of to trying to find out. I guess you could say curiosity, trying to find out exactly what older women has to offer for us.
Interesting. I love this because this is a good segue to my next question. Having dated women who were your age or like younger than you, and then dating older women, was there a difference?
There's a difference. I think older women they go through a life experience, of course, because they're older, and they're more direct with what they want. Um, with younger girls, there's a lot of fairy tales they come with. They think everything is sweet, but that's not the case. And most of the stuff, it's just stressful for a guy, especially when you talk to a younger girl. You can tell, like, she is really, really young because she doesn't know what's ahead of her. So I think it's more beneficial for a younger guy to date an older woman because you get to learn a lot from them.
Okay, okay. You get to learn a lot. And then it sounds like the stress is a bit less because they have some sort of life experiences. And you don't have to guess, I guess, to your point, right? Where you were saying they're direct about what they want. Whereas like, sometimes with the younger girls, they might not be as open about what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Like, with older women, it's more of they also in tune with their emotions, so they know how to communicate with you. They have gone through most of these things. Well, with younger girls, it's a lot of games, and when you're older, 25, 26, you don't want to play anymore. Games. You're looking sort of into settling down. So all these 21, 22 years olds, they're not really thinking about that. They're looking into the city girl lives. They want to have fun and whatnot. But, we wanted to have fun at the age of 19, 20, 21. And when you start reaching 25, 26 as a guy, you're more interested in, settling down. So that's where,
Mm.
older women comes in play. And I just think it's a good fit, for the most part.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. That's totally fair. So then now after having, dated, I guess, younger, the same age, and then older women, would you date an older woman like in the future? And also, if you would, what are the reasons that you do to like, yeah. And how big an age gap would you be okay with?
I think I'm open for it, for both. But as far as older women, like I said, I think they just know what they want. And as men, we struggle to read women most of the time. There's a lot of uh, ways you guys show us what you want, but I think with older women, the ones that I've been involved in, they were quite direct. It was easier for me, so I would say, yeah, I'll be open for it. I mean, of course, I do have, good genes, our family, so we look a lot younger for our age. So those are the things that I'll probably look into as well.
So it sounds like you would be open to dating an older woman, but it sounds like she needs to look young. So does she need to look younger than her age? So does she need to look like your age, or what's the story there?
I think she needs to look, my age at least. And there are women out there that I've met that, people wouldn't tell how old she was. We all were like, oh my gosh, she's 30, she's 32. Of course, I don't want her to look, 30, 32 because it's just not gonna work. And this is where the family issues will come into. Because my mom would be like, yo, you do realize when you're 50, like she's gonna look like she's 80, and that's the problem. Uh,
Okay, first of all, you're being dramatic, saying like at 50 she would
and,
look like she's 80. That
just
is so
just to paint the
dramatic.
picture, just to paint a picture, of how these things could turn out.
Okay, okay. I mean that's fair. So it sounds like she needs to be a woman who takes good care of herself and has good genes that make her look younger than
Self
her
care,
age at
exactly,
least.
self care.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
You know what? I can get behind that. I can get behind that. And then also I guess another thing would be, okay, if you were to meet a woman who's older, who's put together and has, good self-care, great genes, what is the highest age gap you would allow between you and an older woman?
I think I would stick to 5 years. I think that would be the maximum for me. Um, yeah, I think that's what I'll stick to. I wouldn't go any much higher than that.
Okay, okay. Why?
Well, because then I'm started thinking, well, she could be my mother at this point. If 10 years, 15 years.
Okay, okay, okay. No, it makes sense. When you then said 10 years, 15 years, and then you said the whole mother thing, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But when you first started speaking, I thought you meant even if she's 6 years older, she's already feeling like a mother. But you know what? I understand what you're saying. Because when I was doing the episode, I told you I did an episode about dating older men with a friend, Margaret.
mm.
And I told her, I was like, I have a difficulty even thinking about dating a man who's 10 plus years older than me because it feels like I'm dating my father. That's crazy to me. So I
Yeah, it
totally
is.
get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't want to, because I feel like at that age, that much of a big gap, you're just gonna, she's gonna be telling me what to do. It's not gonna be like a relationship to an extent. She's gonna act like a mother to an extent. So to avoid those issues, I think I just wouldn't even think about it.
Interesting. Okay. So I was having a conversation with some guy and he was talking about the whole submission thing. And something that he said was that he wants a wife who would submit to him, right? And he said he only dates women who are younger than him. So like 2+ years younger than him because he feels like those women are more likely to submit. So what are your thoughts around the whole submission thing? Do you need a wife who's submissive to you, which is totally fair? And also, if you do need that, or if you're looking for that in a relationship, do you think that there could be difficulties with an older woman being submissive to you as a younger man?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, submission it is biblical,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to church every now and then. So yeah, it is something that every man uh, possibly wants, because if a woman does not submit to you, there's gonna be issues. A man needs to lead the house, and women, I believe they like to be led as well. So if a woman doesn't submit to you, there's definitely gonna be issues. Um, and I think to an extent with all the women, yeah, there's issues there where they may not submit, but I think at the end of the day, it may come into what they have accomplished. I don't really think it's more to do with the age. I think it's when women accomplish more and whatnot, they tend to not want to submit to men. So I've never really had, issues with the two that I've dated. Everything went well. So I wouldn't say it's more to do with the age. Well, it might be if it's 10 plus, but not as
Mm-hmm.
far as what I've been through now.
Oh, okay, okay, sounds good. So if I was to sum up what you said, the whole thing with submission might not necessarily always be tied to like the age gap, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But it might be tied to how much a woman has accomplished in her life. So even if she's younger than you, but she's accomplished 10 times the things you've accomplished, it could be difficult for her to submit to you. Did I get that correctly?
100%. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Well, I like having these conversations about submission because I think everyone has a different take, and like I think submission looks different from one guy to the next, so it's always interesting to hear about that. So cool. So you said that you'd be good with dating an older woman in the future. Do you foresee issues with the family side of things, like when you now want to like tell your parents that like, hey, this is the woman I want to marry? Would there be an issue with the fact that she's older?
if it's like 1 to 2 years, I think it might be like, oh, a few eyebrows raised, like why you couldn't find anyone else. But I think if you're starting to push a bit further, that's where questions, could be asked, and like, really, you really want to go for a 3 to 5 years age gap? I don't think there'll be, much of an issue if it's like closer to my age. And if I was to get someone who's also 30 or 31, it's not as noticeable. It would
Mm-hmm.
be the mindset that comes into it. But if it's like 35, and they know she's 35, there definitely will be questions asked. Just like if I was to go for someone who's you know 20 years old or 21 and say I want to marry you, that's about 9 to 10 years difference. So it'll be the same reaction, in my opinion. Never
Okay,
really had
okay.
that conversation with my mom, but it'll be. I think I might have that conversation with her and see what happens.
I think you should. I think you should. It's always interesting to just hear about people's thoughts around this. One of the things that you brought up earlier was you usually find that women, especially after certain things like, childbirth and all of that, a woman who's 40 and who has had kids versus a man who's 40 and even has kids or whatever, like the women, or people believe or mostly say that like, oh, the woman would look way older. So I
Hundred
can see
percent,
what you're
100%.
saying, right? Where it's like you would then think about those things like, okay, after all of this happens, what is the picture going to look like? And I think, yeah, I think in our culture in general, that's definitely one of those things. It's like, oh, if a man is bringing a woman who's older than him, there are a lot of questions like, oh, what's going on here? And I think pretty much the question that you asked, like, oh, have you really run out of women out there? So I
Exactly.
think it would also just depend on I think maybe for the people who are listening, it would also depend on like what kind of culture you come from. And also, you know what? There are some, you know, people where it's like, okay, traditionally people in their culture have not been accepting of something. But then, you know, as things and times change, or maybe like you have a whole family that moved to like a first world country, right? Like years, decades ago, and they're used to seeing relationships where there's like an age gap and the man is younger. Maybe they're more okay with it,
Yeah.
like the fact that their child brought like someone who's older. So I think it will vary from case to case, but it's definitely interesting to hear that perspective.
Yeah, and I think looks really play much more into it as well. I think some girls could get away with it, you know, if she looks like she's in it, you know, 20s or something like that. It'll just end up being the mindset. So looks definitely, you know, play a big part into it. In New Zealand, we say, you know, yes, we must love with the heart, but we shouldn't have to walk with the heart. You know, so what that means is like the person that we're gonna walk with, you know, in the streets, she has to look presentable. She has to look pretty. So we can't walk with the heart. We're walking with the, you know, the flesh and whatnot. So
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. But it makes sense, right? Like, okay, yeah, of course there's the insides that matters, but then at the end of the day, it's also how things will look when you're walking together. And actually, you know what? On that age gap thing, I mean, these are celebrities, but like Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, I was so shocked
mhm.
that like that guy is 10 years younger than her.
But you see, they look the same. Like they look like the same age. Like it doesn't look
Yes.
like it's 10 years difference.
Yeah, 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 exactly. For them, it looks that way, but I feel like for a lot of people, a lot of common people, if there's a 10-year age gap, either way, like you would see that okay, these people are like from different decades, you know. But
Mhm,
for them, I mean, maybe it's also that celebrity money where it's like you know she can afford to get high treatments and whatever. I mean, she has good genes, of course,
mhm.
that plays a part, but she also has money to elevate her looks, right? Or like just
Exactly.
getting
Yeah,
her
yeah.
treatments. So yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. So what advice would you give a man who's contemplating dating a woman who's older than him?
Um, well, first, I think it's just more of a confidence thing. If you're confident, you'll be able to handle anything, you know, she throws at you. I assume that people who don't want to date, you know, older women might think that she might run them because that is definitely something that has been thrown, you know, my way as well. So you just gotta be confident, know what you're doing, and just be direct as well. But as far as if it's about the looks, then you know if that's what you choose, then you're just gonna have to deal with it. Apart from that, I would say go for it because you might learn it, you know, a thing or two. If you do end up with someone who's much more, um, you know, younger than you, then you know you can also be able to be that person and take that lead because you'd have learned that much experience from someone who's much older than you.
Wow. Can I just say, not you saying that these boys should be dating older women so that they can learn to then be better lovers to younger women. Did you just say that?
Yeah, I mean, why not? At the end of the day, you know, a man has to know what he's doing. Um, you know, emotionally and physically. You know, a man has to know what he's doing because if you don't, there's you know, all women, whether they're older or younger, they're just gonna leave. So a man has to know. And what better way than learning from older women?
I absolutely love this. And I love the confidence that you said it with. It's like just top tier. But anyway, I think this was very, very interesting. And I absolutely love having conversations with guys to just
Mhm,
hear their thoughts about these things. And also, I feel like to just hear the experience from the other side, right? Of like, okay, what does that look like? Or what are some fears that some people would have? Because I think when we were having our episode about dating younger men, one of the things that definitely came up was that you know, like even the 5 year age gap that you were talking about, right? When, let's say, the woman is 25 and the man is 20, maybe the age difference does not feel the same as when she is 30 and he's 25, because at 30, she's looking to like settle down, she's looking to have kids.
mhm,
And this person is just, you know what, 25 or like 24, and they're still growing into themselves, right? And at
mhm.
that time, maybe settling down is far from their minds. And so you know, maybe age gap matters. It matters depending on where exactly on the scale you're at.
Yeah.
And also, I think similarly too, if a woman is 35 and a man is 30, that could actually be a great combination still, because at 30, maybe this man has reached the age of wanting to settle down. And so the need to settle down from the woman is met, right? So it also just depends on like where you are in terms of like the age, and then looking at the age gap from there.
Exactly. That is correct.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was so fun. I learned so much from you. So thank you so much for being on here.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate you for inviting me.
Yes, yes. So to everybody who was listening, if you have any questions for Tafadzwa, feel free to send them over to me at Unpacking Love, and I will send them over to him. With that, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't rated the podcast on Spotify or on Apple or wherever you listen, please make sure to leave those stars. That's it from us, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.